Gentleman from Kentucky reserves. The gentleman from Missouri is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm happy to yield 2 minutes from the gentle lady of Colorado. She is a warrior, a fighter for conservatism, and apparently even the budget chairman is threatened by her. Happy to yield 2 minutes to Ms. Boebert.
The gentlewoman from Colorado is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to my friend and the ranking member on the Budget Committee who has done an excellent job exposing these terrible schemes to the American people this Congress. Madam Speaker, America does not need and cannot afford this junk. America doesn't need 80,000 new IRS agents snooping in our private transactions. These are politically weaponized bureaucrat bullies that we are looking to hire more of. America cannot afford $1.5 trillion in new taxes while federal bureaucrats haul off and spend $4.1 billion on electric bicycles. Do they realize that this will use more fossil fuels, more petroleum products to create electric bicycles than a conventional bicycle? I don't think so, and I think they've lost their ever-loving minds. $7.8 billion for environmental justice going towards woke universities, $100 billion for amnesty workarounds as our southern border is completely invaded by nearly 2 million illegal aliens, many of them criminal aliens. There's $550 billion for Green New Deal policies and tax breaks so congressional members from the Bronx can afford a new Tesla. Biden's broke-back budget has another $330 billion to incentivize workers to stay home. Newsflash to the party of wealthy cities and wealthy elites. We have a worker shortage right now in America. We have an inflation crisis. This will only make things worse, much worse, not better. But let me guess, when things do get worse, as they inevitably will, we'll need to re-elect y'all's sorry selves so you can fix it, right? No thanks, I'll pass, and I urge my colleagues to vote no on this monstrosity of a spending bill. And I yield back.
1 minute to the gentlelady, freshman from Silt, Colorado, Ms. Boebert.
Well, I recognize the gentlelady from Colorado for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Womack, and thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today frustrated and dismayed because Congress continues to act as the Speaker's House rather than the people's house. Debate has been silenced, and bipartisan amendments have been rejected for political reasons. I myself submitted 80 amendments to this bill, and not a single one was made in order. This includes 3 amendments redirecting federal funds from bureaucrats to fight wildfires that are burning down the West. Forget voting on these common sense amendments. Democrats won't even allow debate on them. I also filed 3 amendments to reallocate resources to help combat drought in the West. All ignored, and all debate was refused. How about the amendments redirecting resources to improve veterans' mental health? Ignored. You know why the American people like Congress less than cockroaches, root canals, and Nickelback? Because of political garbage like this. Speaker Pelosi has silenced my constituents and the American people once again. And I yield back.
Gentlelady's time has expired. Gentleman from Arkansas.
Man, that makes me want to run for Congress. Thank you very much, Congressman Perry. As the Taliban celebrate victory from an unconditional surrender, we with the House Freedom Caucus demand accountability. It is time for action. The American people are fed up. I'm fed up. The people standing here with me today are fed up. 13 service members killed. $85 billion worth of military equipment abandoned. Thousands of Americans left stranded, hundreds at this point. It should be enough for even the weakest, wokest members of Congress to step up. I would hope that just one Democrat would have the courage to join us. that one Democrat could do more than the so-called commander-in-chief who could only look at his watch while moms received the remains of their babies in Dover. Yesterday, terrorists killed someone, strung a person up by our very own Black Hawk helicopter, and flew him around for all the world to see. Even Tony Montana would be ashamed, embarrassed, and disgusted at what's happening right now. The truly oppressed, the Christians, the women, the children, the ones who dared to believe in freedom, they won't be rewarded for taking a knee. They'll be raped, they'll be slaughtered, all by savages using America's military equipment. After 20 years of war, Joe Biden, or whoever's telling him what to do nowadays, made the Taliban stronger than ever. Make no mistake, members of the House Freedom Caucus are not standing here today because Nancy Pelosi called for an emergency session of Congress. No, we're standing here because Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris, and every person they've put in a position of leadership failed our brave men and women. They failed our brave men and women of the United States military, and they failed the American people. Think about it. Speaker Pelosi called us back into session to begin the process of spending trillions and trillions of dollars. We damn sure can be called back into Congress for this. This weekend, I promised every citizen I represent that I would do everything in my power as a United States Congresswoman to get rid of Joe Biden. Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi can follow him out the freaking door. I want everyone listening today on both sides of the aisle to hear these words. We were sent to Washington to represent the American people, not to watch our country give away billions of military equipment to known terrorists, not to sit idly by waiting for the next election, and certainly not to put up with an inept, weak, and incapable regime that puts everyone but American citizens first. From day one, this regime, so-called administration, has been all about America last policies, and every day they prove that more and more. The father of one of our fallen soldiers said, "Hey, I'm just a carpenter, and even I can figure out how horrible this exit strategy was. We all know that we needed to leave Afghanistan, and we all see how failed this mission was. He's right, and you know it. His son did not deserve to die." The blame starts at the top with Biden and his hand-picked vice president, who bragged that she was right there making the same bad decisions. And if not for her own dereliction of duty, she should be impeached for not demanding we invoke the 25th Amendment. It is time for action. Impeach Biden, impeach Kamala Harris, and throw in the Secretary of State if you could get him back from vacation. Take a vote to vacate the chair, to get Nancy Pelosi the heck out of here. I hope at this time, at this stage where we are today, there might be a handful of Democrats who actually might join us in taking a stand for our fallen soldiers, for America, for the Constitution. And if there are any Republicans who have any doubt, know that you will be facing your own primaries. And no amount of your precious money will be able to save you from the uprising of the American people who demand we do something now. I didn't come to Washington, D.C. to be a part of your clubs. I came here to make sure my boys never lived in a socialist nation. And now, today, I'd have to second guess who would actually lead them if they took a stand to serve and join our military. Woke doesn't work. Cutting and running doesn't work. Being asleep or senile or sucking on applesauce obviously doesn't work. We need leadership. We need action. And I plan to do whatever I can to deliver on both of these. Thank you very much. Boebert. Well, we all saw the resident of the White House napping while he's overseas, and we don't know for sure if he really crapped himself. I think Democrats were crapping themselves this morning after they saw the victory in Virginia, because Americans are rising up. They are fully awake, they are paying attention, and they are rejecting this woke nonsense. All across America, moms and dads are pissed off. And if you want to get something accomplished, get a group of pissed off moms together, because we will make sure that we have the results that we want. Despite being called domestic terrorists by the Attorney General of this country, moms showed up to vote in Virginia, and that's what we're going to continue to see. And that's what both Democrats and Republicans here in the United States Capitol need to be paying attention to. Just because you call something bipartisan does not make it bipartisan. This infrastructure plan is garbage. You want to pass infrastructure? Pass my American Infrastructure Modernization Act that takes $650 billion of unspent COVID funding that's already been approved by Congress, doesn't create new spending or new debt or raise taxes on American taxpayers. If they wanted to actually make sense of any of this with their budget reconciliation, they would have taken out the $200 million earmark for the Presidio in Speaker Pelosi's district. But no, the arguments were the Speaker deserves a little extra in this bill. Well, I'm here to say that members of Congress don't deserve anything. That is the American taxpayers' money, and we don't deserve to spend extra of it. That's not what we're here for. We're here to defend the American people. And they can make up all the garbage that they want about this, but the American people are absolutely not buying it. I am proud to stand with members of the Freedom Caucus, putting out the message of what's really in this. More than 70% of the American people don't know what's in this package. They're being lied to each and every day. And you know, even as someone who stands before you with a GED, I'm smart enough to know that $7 trillion, no matter how much Common Core math you use, does not equal zero. I reject this. I reject any Republican that votes for this. I'm here because, hey, I'm a professional rhino hunter, and I will go all throughout the nation taking down Republicans who help Democrats pass this nonsense. And with that, I pass this over to my good friend Andrew Clyde from Georgia.
Thank you so much, Congressman Cawthorn. I am so excited for your leadership on this issue tonight. Thank you for making time to address the American people. Mr. Speaker, there are three people who come to mind when I think of people who cannot even give their money away. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, do you remember when her donations were returned to her by members of Congress because they don't want to be associated with her? Harvey Weinstein and Joe Biden. Those three cannot even give money away. In fact, by July 3rd, 25 states across America will have rejected President Biden's federal unemployment benefit bonuses. I meet with organizations every day that request funds for worthwhile endeavors. Sadly, America is $28 trillion in debt and can't afford to spend the money on many of these worthy causes. But leave it to Joe Biden to try to spend money in a way that actually hurts our economy and is rejected by Republican and Democrat governors across our entire country. That's a special level of basement incompetency. We've got 9.3 million unfilled jobs, and I hear it back home.
Businesses can't get people back to work because they are making more to sit at home on the couch. They would rather watch Dave Portnoy eat a slice of pizza. But then again, maybe that's not his viewers. Maybe it's more of the folks sitting back watching Joy Behar and The View cackle and demonize our country and all of our worthwhile efforts to restore dignity in this nation. The Biden regime is literally incentivizing laziness. But then again, they set that example on a regular basis, calling it quits in the middle of the day. When's the last time the president hasn't called a lid before his afternoon snack? In my home state of Colorado, many corporations are offering bonuses that small businesses can't afford. We're seeing massive signing bonuses from $10,000 to $30,000 for utility and HVAC workers, and that's simply unsustainable. According to the Colorado Restaurant Association, more than 90% of restaurants are having issues finding workers. I'm one of them. I've had employees say, I cannot work more than 2 days a week. I cannot exceed 12 hours of work because it will cut in to my benefits. That is un-American. Joe Biden is quickly becoming the greatest threat to small businesses since Fauci's fraud. While small businesses across my district, across America, are struggling to find workers, struggling to stay open, Joe Biden is struggling to stay awake. I'm calling on this administration to end these excessive federal COVID payouts and stop de-incentivizing work. Madison Cawthorn, Congressman, thank you for your leadership on this issue. And Mr. Speaker, I yield.